My daughter, one of her favorite classes was they combined geometry and woodworking. So it was one class. Yeah, amazing, right?
I would have been so much better at geometry.
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah,
in
same.
high school because I sucked at that class.
Right. So they were able to like learn a concept and then apply it into doing something. So she got to use power tools and build
That's
like
cool.
all kinds of things. And she excelled at the class. And all the boys, I'm not going to call you out by name, I expect better out of you. They weren't good at it. Like, so she had to like tell them, no, guys, this is what we're supposed to do. This is how you're supposed to do
Yeah.
it. Like, she was really able to take charge and do that. But she got to learn manufacturing while learning
That's cool.
geometry. And she did well in the class. She got frustrated with the class because her group got done ahead of time and she overachieved.
That's okay though.
It's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if we could do, and the other thing is too, is like if you see something bad happening, call it out. Like don't
Sure.
just ignore it. Be like call it out. Or if you see someone that's being shy and like reserved and not speaking up as often, as encourage them to speak. So we were at another event in Arizona and they had a FIRST robotics team come and kind of display in front of the organization just to
Yep.
kind of like look at their robot. And the girl that was part of the team was sitting in the back with her arms crossed.
Very interested.
Like, no, she was part of the team. So I was just like, well, what did you do? And like, I started asking her, like, I pointed at her and I'm
Okay.
like, what did you do? How do you fit in this picture? What were your responsibilities? And sometimes the guys would overtalk her, like talk over her, and she just kind of go like this. So I finally said, everybody be quiet. And they all looked at me and they're like, what? I said, be quiet. I said, I'm asking her the question. Let her
Yeah.
talk. So then she started talking. So then I was like, why are you standing in the back? Well, and I said, I don't know. Like, come up here. I'm talking to you. So she like came up and I said, do you want other women to join this robotics team? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, then you have to be that person to invite them. And you have to show how confident you are, because if they see you unsure of yourself, then they're going to be unsure.
Right.
And it's a lot of responsibility and it can be intimidating, but I'm starting to see more and more women like, wait, yeah, that's right. Like, that's correct. So, there's a shift happening where before, I don't know how long you've been in the industry, but women used to like compete hardcore with each other, like
Right.
just nasty. Now you're seeing a lot more women like, no, let's support each other. Here's these resources. Let's, this can be for this person. Like they're referring business to one another. It's really cool to see. We need to be our own cheerleaders. And I know
Ooh.
that there's a lot of companies that have their own strategies and different things, but the high school that I graduated from, I've actually been there a few times, and they're learning the basics, right?
Sure.
They know what additive
Sure.
manufacturing is, they know what welding is, they know what CNC machining is. They don't know the extent that CNC machining can get to, though. They're only working with like 3-axis machines.
Right.
Additive manufacturing, they don't have the large additive printers because their budget, you can only get the small desktop ones. They just started a robotics program, I believe, this year, or they're hoping to start it this year. So they're only learning the basics, and the teachers aren't necessarily trained
Correct.
on industry stuff that's going on, so they know the basics as well too. Their welding teacher is actually fantastic. He was in the Navy. He is a certified welding inspector. He has like a PhD. So when kids go through his class, they get their certification before they graduate. So if they wanted to get a welding job after graduation, they could get it.
Yeah.
Because he's getting them certified, which is awesome. So I think manufacturers, either one or both. One, go into the schools, introduce yourself, do a presentation for the classes that are in the VOTEC programs. Two, open up your doors and make a huge day, like a big deal, and invite not just the students, but community members as well too. Because if you're looking for support to get more talent through your doors, you're going to need the family support. You're going to need the community leader support, the banks, the car dealers. Like, you need everybody's support. So don't just make it about, oh, well, we have to just focus on these places that teach engineering and manufacturing. get the whole community involved and have them come in and show them what you're doing, make a big deal about it, buy them food, like just make a big deal about it. The other thing is too is like, you know, these trade shows that have all of the major manufacturers
Yeah.
going to and spending ridiculous amounts of money on the booths and stuff. Sponsor transportation and bring kids to the shows. So I'm working on getting sponsorship for a robotics team and 40 to 50 high school kids to come to IMTS. I brought them in 2022. They absolutely loved it because they had no idea how big robotic arms could get. And Fanuc had that large yellow robot with the car, and it like made all of their day. Like they thought that was the coolest thing ever. They had no idea that houses were being 3D printed and that they're like planning on colonizing the moon or whatever. Like they were showing demos of that at
They're going to colonize the moon?
Like putting houses up there or whatever. Like I don't know what they plan on doing with it, but they had like a demo where they were making these like huts or houses that could fit on the moon. So like, okay, you blast everything off in space with the atom, you get it set up, and then that's what makes the houses up there, is basically what the concept was. It was super cool. That's the other thing. Like, how can you connect kids? And I call them kids when really most of who we're targeting is young adults, but how can you connect them to real life applications, like things that they're using every day, to the processes that you have in your facility? Go to career fairs, sponsor kids to come to events like the Women in Manufacturing Summit, or there's another.
Only when you want them there.
Only when you want them there. Well, I'm talking about younger girls. Like, and we talked to Nicole Walters today. And we were talking to the girl at the front desk. Like, she had no idea what was involved with manufacturing.
She just wanted a simple internship.
Yeah, and she fell in love with the things and she was making sales. Like, that's awesome. So
at 17 years old.
Right. So that, like, invite them in, let them try things out. I did an interview not too long ago, and one of the gentlemen was from Denmark, and he is like, people are going to love playing with something. So if you could like bring something to them that they can like touch and feel and like see working, he's like, I think that sparks the interest, and that's what we need, right? We need to spark the interest so that they keep asking questions and they remain curious, and then they'll follow that journey. And he is like, but if we're not sparking that interest, they're never going to be curious about it and they're never going to pursue it. We also have to stop with this narrative, and I know it's getting better. I'm hoping it's getting better, but like all of like your son and then the girl at the desk, they're immediately going to college.
Right.
That's not for everybody.
It's not.
So how can we help kids be okay with their decisions after high school? Because I know some parents are like, you got to go to this to be successful. And I talked to a mom and she's like, no, I just let my kids, like, I tell them, number one, just be happy. If you need to take some time off of school after high school to figure out what you're passionate about, go do that. Take, odd jobs, figure out what you like to do. Do you want to do hands-on? Do you want to do this? I think we also need to like kind of look at the German apprenticeship and bring that more.
What does that look like?
I don't know personally what it looks like. I just have heard
a lot of a good job.
I've heard they do a fantastic job at bringing kids into the workforce at younger ages, and then having them continue that all through their education, and then they basically have the workforce after they're done with school. I did work with someone who went to Germany and kind of experienced it, and the knowledge that he had and the hands-on experience that he had was like awesome. He knew every component. He knew how to put things together. He knew how to problem solve. Like, he was on point with everything, and he learned everything through the apprenticeship he went through Germany. So I feel like we need to bring more of that here, but I don't know necessarily what that looks like. Tony Neary, she works for SME. She's doing a panel discussion at IMTS for the Manufacturing Ally Rally, and that's one of the topics they're going to be talking about is early exposure and education. So how can we bring to like kindergarten, how can we teach them about programming machines? Well, color code something, like have them push buttons. That's like the basic part of it.
Yep.
And then it's not necessarily talking about career and like the technology and stuff, because they're not going to care about that. It's really just about exposing them to something, sparking that curiosity, and then maintaining that throughout their school career.
Yeah.
So I think there's ways we can change the curriculum a little bit. We also have to figure out how to help our educators as well too. So Matt Goosey, I don't know if you heard of
Yep.
him, but he does a really good job at connecting teachers with the stuff that he's doing in his own shop. So like he invites teachers to come to a shop. They learn how he does things there, and then they bring that knowledge back to the kids, and they also have that really cool program where the students are actually making like smaller components or different parts for actual companies, and
Okay.
they made a business out of it. So the kids are getting paid while they're making this, and it's actual stuff that they're selling to the customers.
That's pretty
So
cool.
yeah, and I think I've never been there, but I think it's like a whole layout of a shop floor. So they have like shipping and receiving and order intakes, and then the machines that are making the parts, and then they ship them out. So
I keep thinking there needs to be a show. I wanted to do a show, but I have so many things in my brain. That's that ADD thing that we were talking
I
about.
think, yeah.
I wanted to do a show that was like a combination of How It's Made, Duck Dynasty, and Orange County Choppers. You take all those together, and I think you'd have a thing, right? Because nobody cared about custom choppers until there was a cool show that showed custom
Yeah.
choppers and what went into it. And then everybody wanted to do that.
Yep.
And somehow you have to make manufacturing sexy. You have to make it the thing that people, not sexy like ooh la la, sexy
Right.
like attractive, like I want to be part of that industry.
Yeah.
That's cool to me. Like there's so much, people don't know
No.
how anything is done, or how they just know they like order it on Amazon and it shows up. But there's no like idea of how did we get from nothing to something? What does that look like?
Yeah.
And to be able to tell that story, the stories, right? And
Right.
have the crazy characters that are in manufacturing showcased, and who these people are that are actually making the stuff or coming up with the stuff and inventing the stuff.
Yeah.
I think it would open the doors for parents to say, hey, that looks like a cool thing. Hey, that looks like my kid acts just like this person. Maybe they would fit into this space.
Well, I heard a story. I went to an event in McHenry County, and they had a girl stop by their tables for a career fair, and she was asking them about underwater robots. And the
Yeah.
mom was just kind of like looking around, bored, and just whatever. And the girl that was at the table was like, "Oh yeah, we have this program." And the mom just kind of looked at her and goes, "Wait, what?" And she goes, "What?" She goes, "You work with underwater robots?" She goes, "Yeah." And she goes, "I thought she was making this up." She thought underwater robots wasn't a thing. Like
Right.
her daughter just made it up and was like, so then she started asking questions and was like, "Oh my gosh, I had no idea like any of this even existed." And yeah, so again, I think some of the older generations are used to that dirty, dark, dull, dangerous manufacturing that some of us grew up with. Yes, some of that still exists, but there's so much more to it now than what was 5, 10, 20 years ago.
Right.
I think the other thing is too, because we had that glitch in the late 90s, early 2000s where manufacturing took a huge hit. Some parents don't think it's a stable place for their kids to find a
Absolutely.
career. So we got to change that narrative as well too.
Hey there. Thanks for watching the Manufacturing Alliance podcast. If you liked what you saw, click here to watch the full interview. Or you can click our channel link here. But either way, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. That's it for now. Take care and God bless.